You had no idea I was right here. I know. I know. Element of surprise. Yo, what's good, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. It's your boy Kawan. Today we're going to be talking about the pressures of succeeding as an African. Lovely. If you're an African under 30, then you already know the pressure society puts on us, especially our parents. You know, you're supposed to have graduated, become a doctor, a lawyer, engineer, and even married, all by the age of 25. Now, how exactly am I supposed to do that? I don't even know what I'm eating for dinner. You're supposed to have made six figures, built a house, got a farm, a business, and probably even retired your parents all at the same time. Not to mention that we're doing all these things whilst we're living our own life. We have our social life, relationship, and just our own things going on. And then they have the nerve to ask you, when are you getting married? When are you giving me grandkids? Where's your house? Why don't you have a car yet? Like, yo, I've barely survived. I barely have money to live. Leave me alone. They put all these expectations on us, and some of us are here without our driver's license. Yes, you. I'm talking to you. Yeah, I'm getting stressed just thinking about it, honestly. Oh, Jesus Christ. Anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive straight into it. So firstly, you want to think about what is success. Success is very subjective. It's going to be different for me, for you, for the guy next door, everyone, especially our parents. There's a very thin line for what's successful and what's a failure between us and our parents. For us, success might look like Kai Cenat, Damson Idris, Andrew Tate, Talk to a Girl. I don't know. Whoever. A lot of internet money is considered successful these days. Our parents, however, it's just going to be doctor or lawyer. That's it. There's nothing else. These days you have to be terrified of telling your parents that you're going to be a YouTuber or streamer or something like that. You go to them, hey dad, I'm going to be a streamer. I'm going to be a popular YouTuber. And they'll just look at you. And they'll just look at you like, YouTuber in my house. Dr. YouTube. Lawyer YouTube. Is that it? And then that's the part when they go into the rant about, how they had to walk 10,000 miles to school and, fight some lions and climb trees. And that's what they'll get into. They'll basically talk about how they didn't cross borders for us to be a YouTube podcast person. They start to look at us like we're sick and diseased. They might even call a witch doctor for you. They'll call a pastor. The real ones know what I'm talking about. They'll just be like, this guy, he's not okay. He's very sick, this guy. Don't even get me started on wanting to drop out or stop school or something like that. African parents only believe that education is the way. There's no such thing as, I went to high school and that was it. No, you're going to college, you're going to university. I'm convinced that university is a part of every African parent's vocabulary, honestly, because they just go together like this. But nowadays that's not really the case. You have a lot of people, a lot of cases, scenarios where people get really successful without having the full after high school education. Some people don't even make it through high school, really. A lot of people just stop midway and just be like, you know what, I hate this. A part of me feels like that's where a lot of people just have their consciousness they have their consciousness activated, and that's when they're in reality. That's when they start making big decisions in their life, and they just say, hey, this stuff is lame, this stuff is boring, I'm out, deuces. But you have some cases where you might be lucky enough to have parents that are very supportive. They might be a bit more understanding and kind of let you do whatever it is you want to do, besides become a rapper, because that's the worst thing you can do for African parents. Still, nonetheless, if you wanted to be, I don't know, maybe a soccer player, football player, well, depending on where you're from, that might be the same thing. 9 times out of 10, I'm pretty sure most African parents will be very strict in terms of education and your career choice. I don't know what it is, but it's anytime you travel abroad or just travel anywhere in general, a lot of people will look at you like you're rich, like you're just loaded or something. Your parents will just be like, wow, he's traveled to a whole nother country. It's interesting. Cha-ching, cha-ching. Dude, I'm struggling. I don't know what it is. I really don't know. I don't understand. It's like my glasses must not be working because it's like they'll see the word abroad and I don't know how that's arranged to make up the word rich at all. I don't know. It's a mystery. A big contributor to the pressure that us Africans feel, in terms of being successful, is a lot of the questions that we're asked. As far as I know, in like most African cultures, you're not really forced to leave the house or kicked out. Compared to American culture, it's more of like, okay, when you're 18, you just leave, go to college, and probably never come back. Now, in African cultures, it's a bit different. Like that's advised, like that's, appreciated if you do that. But it's not like, hey, get out to my house, shoot, get out. No, it's not like that at all. Most cases, a lot of people stay in their parents' homes until they're like mid 20s or maybe even more. I don't know, in their basement. But yeah, they'll ask you a question like, when do you plan on moving out or something? And it's like, dude, I'm homeless. Better yet, right after high school, like right after graduating, you're not even a whole day or a week after graduation, right? I'll be like, so what do you plan on studying? What's your career, huh? What do you plan on doing now? What's your plan? Bro, I don't know. I didn't even plan to get here, like all this was a shock. After grade 10, I just blinked and I'm here. And then there's that one question that all of us African guys get. It'll probably most likely be your dad who asks you this question. You'll just be like, so where is she? And you're just there like, what are you talking about? Who's who? Is he seeing people? It's like her, you know, and you're just like, who are you talking about? Where is she? Your girl. Depending on your situation, you might have, you might not, whatever. And yeah, he's basically asking you, where's your wife? When do you plan on getting married? I have no words, especially these days when most marriages are just ending in like divorce and the guy being broke and poor and stuff. It's not a good look, man. It's not a good look. He's asking you, when are you going to be married, right? And you're in most African cultures, you're supposed to buy your wife from her parents. It's either, getting them cows or goats or just paying them in money, whatever it is. I am poor. I have no money. I am struggling. I am a broke college kid or high school kid, and I can't. I don't know. It's like they want you to do all this stuff all by 26 or 25. It's bizarre. It's like, I beg, please, no more stress, please. I have all these expectations of you, but meanwhile, you just learned how to cook rice. It's not adding up. Oh boy. Oh. Possibly the worst pressure that we get as Africans is the comparisons. You always get compared to another friend of yours or another student or maybe just some random kid that you've never heard about that your parent always brings up. You should be more like Charlie and Mutale. It's like, bro, I have no idea who these people are. Please leave me alone. It's like, bro, they'll compare you to anyone. If you have siblings, they'll compare you to your siblings, your cousins, your friends, classmates, neighbors, kids, sweet life of Zach and Cody, like everyone, bro. They'll be mid show and they see a kid washing some dishes and they'll be like, hey, you should be like that kid. And you're just there like, bruh. You're not even enjoying the film anymore. It's crazy. Yo, and don't even get me started on comparisons to their younger self. Bro. That dreaded beginning of that sentence when they're like, when I was your age. Bro, stop reminiscing, bro. They'll be saying things like, "Oh, when I was your age, I was the best in my class. You know, I taught blind people how to see." You know, it's like all these random achievements that they have. I used to bathe with 1 cup of water, and I don't care, bro. I don't care. I don't care. And then at that point, that's when they'll just go into a long lecture talking about their journey to school. We had to walk 10,000 meters and cross bridges and, fight lions and run in thunderstorms. Like, bro, what does that have to do with me? I have nothing. I was not alive. I wasn't born. And it's like, it's so crazy. It's so bizarre because it's like, it's unprovoked, it just goes off by itself. It's like there's triggers that trigger that. Maybe you're heading to class, right? You're getting in your car, you're taking an Uber or whatever, and they'll be like, you know how we got to school? We would walk, you know, barefoot, miles in the rain. It just progressively gets worse as they keep talking about it. It's while carrying our young siblings on our back and a goat. We did all that and we were never late.
This day, to this day, to this day.
With these pressures comes a lot of different things. Not all of the pressures are bad things to say. Some pressures are a bit more good. They give you that motivation, that push. For example, have you ever gotten like a new job or an internship or something, and you just feel inclined to tell, maybe your parents, your grandparents, whoever, and it's just like you get that feel of achievement, in your head, you're just like, yeah, I've achieved something here. This here, this is something. But then there's a part of you that might be like, will they even care if it's like not med school? It's not a new university that I got in for free. If it's not that, they might not care. So you go up to them, you're even walking differently, you're just like really feeling your stuff, you know what I mean? You tell them the big news and they're just like, okay, like, so, huh? Huh? That's when the more comparisons come in. Your cousin just bought a house. What about you, huh? You're giving me a this job application. Where's your house? Where is the goats? But for real, it's like one of the biggest pressures as an African. It's like the fear of disappointing your parents. It's either that or them passing away before you're like where you want to be, like when you're successful or whatever. Because you don't want to be a disappointment, you don't want to be a failure. Because the way a lot of African families are, we're very close knit. So it's like, oh, if you're seen as a failure, you're kind of seen as a failure to everybody. It's like everybody's gonna hear about it or see it, whatever. Yeah, you most likely don't want that. So it's like a lot of times we do a lot of things just to kind of make them proud, make them happy, and kind of, make them perceive us as being successful in their eyes, leaning more towards their version of success rather than our own. We do all that just for them to say, those words that we love to hear. It's like, we're proud of you, whatever, or you've made us proud. That's when you've accomplished the mission. You've beat the game. Yeah. And in this generation, a lot of things are very, very different. With all these pressures that we have, we're still expected to be perfect. We're living in a different world. Things are crazy expensive. Jobs are different. Social media's around. It's like we got a lot going on. So it's like we're just stressed 24/7 all the time, non-stop. We're all kind of figuring it out as we go because, none of us has been here before. So it's kind of like we're just trial and error type of thing. So, hey, it is what it is. But really, I'm just trying to remind you, success doesn't always look like a law degree or a lab coat or, endless hours of depressing work. It could be just following your passion, doing what you love, doing what you enjoy, what you feel, you get a pull to, what you attract in your life. That could be your version of your success, Just do what makes you happy, bro. Just do that. And now don't get me wrong. I don't want to my subscribers to be like, hey, just dropped out, thanks for the advice. Like, don't hey, I don't want no parents coming after me, okay? So I'm not saying drop out or anything like that. Just do what makes you happy at the end of the day. Just chase happiness. You don't want to be doing what you hate and be depressed and have anxiety and whatever other medical conditions that our parents won't believe in these days. And believe me, once you've made money, once you're wealthy, once you're in a good position in your life, it won't matter whether or not you got that law degree or became a doctor. If you're giving your parents a bunch of money and you're not a doctor, trust me, they won't care. That won't matter anymore. But honestly, the pressure is pressuring. Boom. So there you have it. There's a video on pressures to succeed as a young African. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. As usual, make sure you comment, like, subscribe. Go ahead and share the video. Share it to your fellow friends, family, whoever, your mom, dad, brother, the pastor your parents are calling because you don't want to be a doctor, whoever. What's the pressure that you think that we experience? I mean, maybe something I haven't said in this video. Go ahead and drop it down below in the comments. As usual, appreciate you guys for watching, and until next time,